Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green and you're tuning into AMTV, live, alternative media television. It is Saturday, June 25th, 2016. Welcome everybody. This is our first live broadcast on YouTube and on Facebook, giving you behind the scenes access to the real media. Because this isn't bullshit. This is not CNN. This is not MSNBC. This is not Fox News. You know, a lot of people think that Fox is like the conservative slanted angle, which it does provide a little bit of conservatism. I guess we can give it that. But they're still working for the same machine. This New World Order, singular media agenda. Today I wanted to talk about something extremely important. I want to talk about the BREXIT and why there are severe consequences and it leads to war. I think, in fact, it's already begun. And I think over the weekend, Wall Street especially is kind of feeling the hangover of this surprise vote. Now, the collapse of the Eurozone isn't surprising me at all. Of course, this is something I've been talking about for years. 7 freaking years now. We've been talking about the collapse, disintegration, and absolute dissolution of this failed experiment. None of that is a surprise. But it did take me a little bit off guard. Earlier this week, the BREXIT did, with the specific timing. George Soros came out and put out what I thought was a bluff. You know, the criminal that makes up George Soros, who shorted the pound and made billions of dollars, I think it was in 1992, it was in the early 90s, has just done it again. He has just pulled it off again. One of the Bilderberger criminals. It is not a coincidence, for example, that the Bilderbergs just met a couple of weeks ago. And now, all of a sudden, these events unfold into this perfect New World Order playbook that now Wall Street, totally caught off guard with its pants around its ankles, kind of like September 11th, 2001, a manufactured event, are now thumbing around over the weekend, wondering what kind of repercussions this might have. I was watching Rachel Maddow, if you say her name, Maddow, you know, the lady on MSNBC yesterday. She was going back and talking about all the history, how this, centered around the relationship with the United States and the United Kingdom and Winston Churchill and the precedents of setting up the Euro bloc, this, these member countries to become this, globalist, competitive state of free trade and all this, and how this is unraveling this relationship, this failed experiment. And she goes over all the deaths of World War I and World War II, the tens of millions of people slaughtered, and gave us kind of her perspective on this. Now, I watch the mainstream media because I've got to hear the agenda. I've got to hear what Anderson Cooper is talking about on a daily basis. I have to hear what Don Lemon is talking about so I understand what that message is, how they're brainwashing our children through mass propaganda and commercialization. It's gotten worse. You notice how they're running even more and more commercials now? I was talking about this with a family member the other day. There's even more and more commercials now than I think that there's ever been. Probably because the dinosaur bullshit mainstream media is dead. It's exactly why you're tuning in to AMTV, Alternative Media Television Live, right now. Today, I want to talk specifically about the consequences of this event. So I think Wall Street, and I think we could have a Black Monday. That is not an exaggeration. We got a taste of it on Friday, something that George Soros warned about, a potential Black Friday event with the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 600 points roughly. That's a pretty big day, but overall it was orderly. Yes, the pound collapsed, I believe it was, to a 30-year low, which is pretty significant, but it was orderly. You see, the scam that makes up Wall Street today, this algorithmic trading, all of this bullshit that's trading in nanoseconds, came in to support the market on Friday, to support this broken, fabricated, fiat bullshit currency system. But on Monday, and again, this may or may not happen, but I think, in my humble opinion, over the next days, weeks, and months, people will begin to realize how serious of an event this is. For all the people cheering, and again, I want to congratulate everybody. I want to congratulate the people. This is a seminal moment of independence. And it's very important. It sends a very important message to these elites that we're not going to take it anymore. That should be congratulated. That is amazing. That is beautiful. That is an elevation of our consciousness. It's an incredible thing. But I see a lot of circle jerking right now, even among the quote-unquote alternative media. I commented, and again, these are people that I respect. I think they do a great job. But people like Alex Jones, all they were talking about, Mark Dice, Paul Joseph Watson, all it was a freaking circle jerk. And these people should know better. Do you really think that the New World Order did not have this laid out months ago? Do you really think that this isn't a part of their playbook? Do you really think that the people, this vote, wasn't still rigged? Even though I believe wholeheartedly, that the people wanted out. It's a pretty close vote, over 50% that said that they wanted to leave. I would have thunk that countries like Greece would have left a long time ago, as we've seen in years past, riots and violence in the streets. But it turned out that it was the Brits. You know, the same redcoats that we beat the shit out of, 1776, what became the independence in the United States of America, that country. Beat the shit out of them, declaring our independence. But the radical leftist liberals always want to tell us, well, you know, that's just a part of our, archaic history. You know, even the Constitution, it's an archaic document. Guns, archaic. You know, nobody needs guns anymore. Because it's a part of this radical transformation of America, which has been a huge success, courtesy of Barack Obama. Mr. Insane in the membrane. But going back to what really matters today, it's why we're broadcasting here on Saturday, right? Saturday is actually the weakest day for media in general, but I think it's so important. Plus, we're building out AMTV studios here, AMTV Live. We've got to figure out how all this equipment works, but it's so important because I really think Wall Street is running scared. I think we could have a major event potentially on Monday, and would almost, and you can't guarantee anything in life, almost guarantee that the major events will continue to unfold, the repercussions and consequences of this vote and Brexit. We will see the same kind of history, not necessarily repeat itself, but rhyme, as Mark Twain once said, into the shocking, catastrophic events that we've seen throughout history. World War III is no friggin' joke, people. You do understand that. Do you get that? Just like how most pundits in the mainstream media didn't even bake it into the equation that the Brexit could actually occur, that it would even be a possibility. There was so much fear-mongering around it. You know, from celebrities to David Beckham, famous athletes, to actresses, and Obama himself is only proven to be a complete and utter failure. You know, that's one thing that Donald Trump has right about this, even though I know he made a tweet yesterday kind of discussing that, Scotland, he made a pretty much a gross error, but we all make mistakes, saying that Scotland had voted for independence when they actually voted to stay. Maybe that has something to do with Lewandowski leaving. Maybe Lewandowski would have protected Donald Trump, but since they fired him, he doesn't have a screener. Because it's not even an argument, it's just the truth. Lewandowski did an incredible job. It's kind of interesting how there was this shakeup. I mean, why would you get rid of somebody who's actually helped you get this far? So he flies into his helicopter. He's talking about independence, and he really doesn't even know who his actual audience is because he puts out this tweet, which people like Rachel Maddow talked about yesterday and kind of went for the jugular. Rightfully so. I probably would if I was her as well. This is a seminal moment in history. And I think while everyone's circle jerking each other, they're missing the big picture, the forest through the trees. And again, I'm not a crystal ball reader, folks. This isn't about making predictions. It's about seeing the forest through the trees. It's why people like me and over 2,000 plus countless videos posted over the last 7 years has not just talked about this recently, but it talked about it then. From a guy who once worked for a major Wall Street firm and saw the criminals in action firsthand, who was so angry, so determined, and so pissed off. Not only did he go to friends and family and warn them of events to transpire, the horrible reality that made the 2008-2009 financial crash but sent in his letter of resignation within days and started doing something a little crazy, putting out the truth to the people, which started from just a dozen or so subscribers, which then became hundreds to thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions of people tuning in around the world. Because of you, not me. Because of you. Because you've demanded something different. And we're going to war with these criminals. Interviews here at AMTV Studios. You're in my house now. We're going to turn the spotlight on these people. I'm not afraid of these people, nor should you be. One thing that we learned with this Brexit is the people have power. They don't want you to know that. The people and the masses have tremendous, incredible power. The elites know this. That's why hedge fund managers are setting up Armageddon retreats in places like New Zealand, spending tens of millions of dollars for their bunkers. They tell us people like us are crazy. We're the lunatics. We're the crackpots. As these people with money, the billionaires, people like George Soros, build their private retreats because they know that they're going to have to pay the piper at some point. There's going to be that French Revolution moment. Off with their heads! It's going to happen at some point. What was interesting about this Brexit is that it happened without a single shot being fired, which is a good thing and just shows you the power of unison thinking and the power to surprise the establishment. But again, my critique of this is that the establishment isn't surprised at all. This is baked into the pudding. This is a part of the master plan. I mean, if I was on the inside of Bilderberg, this is how I would be laying it out. Let me give you a couple fundamental reasons why. Reason number one, this now gives the Federal Reserve, Janet Whore Yellen, the criminal slut that she is, the excuse not to raise interest rates. In fact, that's been completely taken off the table now. In fact, I was looking at what the futures are predicting, and it's like less than 15% that we're going to get a hike now. Prior to yesterday's event, which caught many people by surprise, economists, those that are supposedly the smart ones, even though they're really not that smart, they're just academics that got 2008, 2009 wrong, were actually factoring in that we'd at least get two hikes. And I've been saying, no, we won't. They'll never raise interest rates because they can't. Now they're saying we might not even get another hike till 2018. Can you believe this shit? It has been 7 to 8 years post this artificial recovery. They've barely hiked 25 basis points, folks. And since then, inflation's picked up, so the real rate has actually declined because the money in our wallets isn't worth what it once was. We see this in food prices. We see this with housing. We see this with rent. Lifestyle expenses. I mean, everything keeps going up, up, up. They want to create and stimulate and massage and masturbate this artificial recovery so people keep spending. I mean, again, you've got to stay on the drip system, folks. You've got to keep gurgling down that bullshit. People don't realize how brainwashed they are. Everything that they see, they hear, whether or not it's television or radio or now even social media. These people are getting smarter. It was much more disruptive 7 years ago when people like me went on camera with a mission for the truth. I am so excited to be broadcasting AMTV Live because, number one, it's fun. I'm having fun. I'm having fun going to war with these criminals. And I want to thank you for your tremendous support. Again, don't thank me. Pat yourself on the back. Thank you to all of you who have already subscribed. We've had dozens and dozens of subscribers sign up AMTV On Demand. Do right now if you haven't already. It's only $4.95 a month, $49.95 a year. Price for the cup of coffee a month, and we can take on these scumbags. Supports our crew, supports this operation. It's why we're working around the clock 24/7. Many of you have actually commented lately like, Christopher, you look like shit. And I'm kind of like, damn, I guess I've been working pretty hard lately. I was actually severely sick for about a week or two. Very bad case of the flu. And I'm one of those people I can lose weight, pretty quick even without trying. Shed about 5 or 10 pounds. So you know why? Because my immune system is beat up. Because I'm running an operation full time with some great people that are also helping and shouldering a lot of this on your behalf. It's a lot of work. This isn't easy. It's why we're here on the weekend on a Saturday. putting out this message to the viewing public because it's our mission and it's important. There's going to be hell to pay with this Brexit. It's a good thing. Yes, I applaud it. Everybody should congratulate themselves. It reminds people of the power and independence that people actually have at their fingertips. This harkens back to even the independence of the United States of America. These are all amazing, great things, but don't think there's not going to be consequences. Even George Soros, the scumbag that he is, said that, the average income would decline in the Eurozone somewhere between, I believe it was $3,000 to $7,000. In the equivalent of US dollars, it's a little bit less if you're looking at pounds. That the economy would suffer as a part of this. Even Barack Obama hit fearmonger not too long ago that if the UK actually pulled this off, they're going to the back of the line of the trade negotiations. Again, a fundamental reason why Hillary Clinton is not only a political whore, but should be completely discredited. Because who do you think's been backing this whole integration, saying that it's going to work and this is, the direction that we need to go? Only for the people to give a giant middle finger to the establishment, a big fat middle finger up Obama's ass. Trump, the wild card, and again, I talked about this over a year ago when I said he's exactly what America needs. Love him, hate him. Yes, he's kind of an asshole. Won't disagree with you there. He's got a massive ego, the largest ego I've ever seen on the freaking planet. But he's also perfect for America because he's politically incorrect. He's kind of like me, quite frankly. I don't think my ego's that big. I'm actually, I think, a lot more balanced than that, although we all have a little bit of an ego, I guess. But he's perfect because he tells it like it is. He's not afraid to ruffle feathers. Americans are angry. Europeans are angry. The world is angry because they know all of this is artificial. And she never raises interest rates. And she tells the public things like, oh, things are getting better. Or Obama pitches that message. People know that's not the case because they just look at their own life. They look at themselves and they go, man, my rent's going up. Housing prices are going up. Food prices are skyrocketing. I mean, look at the price of a steak now. Eggs, milk, food, all these things people need. And they're going, man, on top of that, there's this technological revolution occurring right now, and many people are losing their jobs, and maybe even you've personally been affected. That's why I talk about all the time. You need to take this kind of thing into your own hands. Don't rely on anybody. Rely on your own skill set, your own aptitude, your own intelligence. Educate yourself first. Invest in yourself first. This is no longer the 1950s corporate world where you're going to get a pension and you're going to be taken care of 9 to 5 and, have a car leased on your behalf because the corporation just likes you. Even people like Peter Thiel, one of the Bilderbergers, who was in attendance there and was actually approached by InfoWars, kudos to that. They're doing a great job. Made some comment to the fact that, people think it's safe to go to college, for example, to become an attorney. Well, he put some statistics out there, and he's right about this. There's like 50,000 new law degrees earned on an annual basis, and there's only like 30,000 available jobs here in the United States of America, I believe was the statistic, double check that. But it was something in that regard. All these people think that's safe. Even doctors, general practitioners, their jobs are at risk. From robots, the algorithm, all of this technology that is completely changing the landscape, leveling the playing field, because all the power is in the hands of these transhumanists. People like Mark Zuckerberg, who literally, probably arguably the most powerful man on the planet, puts a piece of tape on his camera and his microphone. Mark Zuckerberg, the king of massive surveillance. Hey, shout out to all of you watching on Facebook. Hey, shout out, Mark. Hey, Mark, how you doing, bud? Huh? How are you doing? Puts tape over his little camera here, tape over his microphone, because he's worried he's being surveilled. This is the same guy who's been on record saying things like people are dumb shits, something like that, because they give all their personal data away to Facebook. Well, do they have a choice? Do any of us have a choice? Signing these large, documents that nobody reads and privacy policies and all this kind of stuff that they constantly spit out, whether or not it's from Facebook or Apple or Google or any of these other companies. It's not like they give us a choice. It's not like you can interact meaningfully in the real world right now, have a real life or get ahead without being a part of this technology. It's freaking insane. massive brainwashing. That's why I turn off the TV. I watch what I have to watch so I can report for you guys and understand the world at large. But people ask me, Christopher, how do you read so much a day? Well, easy. Turn off the freaking TV, pick up a book. Think for yourself, for God's sakes. Consequences to this Brexit. War. I don't want any of this, folks. I'm not happy about it. I'm not excited about it. But this is the guy that not only warned about the 2008-2009 financial crash, and everybody close to me, friends and family, can attest to that, even when some shrug their shoulders, only to see and witness a massive bloodbath. This is the same guy who's been telling you things like Obama was going to bomb Syria. He was going to go to war. He was going to do it anti-constitutional. People laughed it off. I've got dozens of videos on a playlist. You can go check it out. We'll probably even cut it in post-production when this video re-airs. Dozens of videos predicting just that event. People said I was a crackpot. They said I was a lunatic. It wasn't reality until it happens. Until Obama starts dropping and continues as he has bombs on men, women, and children. A Doctors Without Borders hospital, which he was just like, hey, sorry about that. I didn't mean to kill all those people. Yeah, it's real upsetting that over 500,000 people, 500,000 according to some estimates, are dead in Syria right now. And all people want to talk about, including Hillary Clinton, is, the LGBTQ community, queer and questioning. Some of you have asked me what that means before, in relation to the conspiracy that makes up Orlando. People send me a lot of emails. You're like, Christopher, that shit wasn't real. I'm going to leave that up for you to decide. Sometimes you've got to kind of inch people to the truth, especially as with much eyeballs that we're reaching now, millions and millions of households around the world. I know those of you that are really informed know the truth. You know reality, fact from fiction, but I've got to kind of inch some people along. Keep in mind, we're getting thousands of new subscribers a day across multiple platforms. So we've got to inch people along. You can't just punch them right in the face right in the beginning. You kind of have to reel people in, show them evidence. That's why I do all the time. I show people evidence. I'm like, hey, don't believe me? Think it's a conspiracy? You believe Forbes? You believe Reuters? Do you believe Fox, CNN? Do you believe Pulitzer Prize winners like Seymour Hersh? Do you believe Julian Assange, founder of WikiLeaks? Do you believe Edward Snowden? And again, I believe both of these people are intelligence assets. Don't think for a minute these people aren't intelligence. Don't think for a minute that Edward Snowden isn't a double, if not triple agent. We've done some fantastic reports, and it kind of just goes over people's heads. It's almost too much for them. The deeper you go down the rabbit hole, the more crazy and insane this all becomes. The more you realize how evil these people are, how insane this actually is, that these people want war. Just like tens of millions of people were dead and killed and murdered. World War I and World War II, they want this shit again. Things that Albert Einstein worried about. I said, World War III, I don't know what that would be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. What would happen? God forbid. I would never wish this happened, but let's just speak out in kind of a, just to think about it for a moment, to intellectualize. What would happen tomorrow if a bomb went off in London? You think still overwhelmingly a suitcase bomb, a nuke or something like that. You think overwhelmingly the people would still be, let's leave? Or would they somehow gravitate towards, unification is better because we need to defend ourselves? You see, the people of the UK haven't seen the consequences of any of this yet. Now, I'm not wishing any of that. I pray that doesn't happen. Again, we're talking about that to intellectualize. But what if the elites actually have that plan? What if that is a part of this rollout? Again, don't freaking kid yourself, Alex Jones. Don't freaking kid yourself, Paul Joseph Watson. Don't freaking kid yourself, Mark Dice. Come on! You guys are better than this. You're smarter than this. There's an agenda behind this. There is a reason for this. This isn't taking George Soros by surprise in these Bilderbergers. Why do you think they even put out warnings that turned out not to be bluffs days before this Brexit vote actually occurred? Why do you think they just met? I mean, come on. Even somebody here at the studio was asking me the other day, say, hey, Christopher, I love the new live broadcast. Freaking awesome, man. He's like, what do you think about this? And I was telling him, yeah, people are they're underestimating what's really going on right now. They really don't see the consequences. They don't see that war is a byproduct. They don't see how this is playing right into the hands of the same people that they think they're threatening. Now, again, I'm not taking away I'm not taking away from anything that's just been accomplished. It should be congratulated. It is independence. We're seeing this in the United States of America, this anger. It's why there's this political vacuum. It's why people like Donald Trump are so popular, Bernie Sanders so popular, because it is counterculture, it is radical, it is a little bit insane, and people are so angry, so pissed off at establishment leadership, whether or not it's David Cameron or Barack Obama, that they're just demanding for something different. But that's also a very politically dangerous period in American and global history. Very dangerous. 7, 8 years into the artificial recovery now, when we know that there's a natural peaks and valleys, that typically an average time in the markets, for example, whether a peak to trough lasts, 8 years or so, and we're actually in year 8 of this artificial recovery, which now Janet Yellen has the perfect excuse not to raise interest rates. Why do you think, for example, that I recommend and have been recommending gold for over 7 freaking years now? Why do you think we even have the sponsors that we do? They've all been vetted by me because they're supposed to be helpful to you guys. Gold skyrocketed yesterday, by the way. It was up as much as 8% the evening prior when the shock first hit with the leave vote. And then I think close on Friday somewhere like 4 to 5%. Skyrocketing. Hey, if you don't want to take it from me, take it from people like Ron Paul, take it from people like Peter Schiff, take it from people that take it from others. Again, you decide, you think for yourself. I don't want you to just take my word for it. Investigate the truth. I go through a lot of your emails as much as I can, even though we're getting a lot and it's kind of a responsibility in itself. But I get all of them. I hear your feedback. I go through the comment sections. I respond to you guys because you guys are as much part of this war, what makes up alternative media television. You're more a part of it than even I am. I'm just a messenger. That's all I am. It's just my job, my obligation, and duty to do what I do. Why I'm here, that's up to the big guy upstairs. This is a giant opportunity to disrupt, to build upon what we've been doing. Share our content, share our videos, get it out to your friends and family, get it out into the physical, real world. Don't just enslave yourself in this digital ghetto that makes up these tech monopolies today. You notice if you go through your feeds today, your family members are showing me this, there's like barely any talk of the Brexit. It's more like what celebrity is sleeping with what celebrity. Why do you think that is the case? It's because these monopolies control the message. Big tech controls the message through filtering and censorship. I'll get into an article here in a moment that I think is quite prudent. It's because the media controls that message and that censorship. They only tell you what you want to hear. I mean, one of the first lessons and rules of propaganda, if you don't want people to understand or know something, you just avoid it. You don't even talk about it. You won't get it on every major network. It's why people in America care more about celebrity details and whether or not Justin Bieber is showing his dick on a regular basis than they had even heard of a Brexit up until yesterday. People informed have been following this like a hawk. People like me, people like you tuning in. Most people are more informed of Justin Bieber's dick. That's how dumb Americans are, honestly. It's really sad. I do think there's some success in this. Again, I do think there's some congratulations earned, that this is a seminal moment in history for the United Kingdom. Also here, it tells us what can be accomplished here in the United States, that the people have power, that in aggregate, that's what these elites are most afraid of. It's why they divide and conquer through politics, the two-party, really one-party illusory system that makes up modern politics today. It's why they've destroyed and attempted to destroy, and I think successfully destroyed the nuclear family. Husband, wife, mother, father, raising that educated, smart, God-fearing family. It's why America has transformed so radically to this leftist, dangerous agenda. And they're always in their shroud of, political correctness and stuff. They don't even want to admit to themselves, maybe because they're just dumb and this is just happening behind the scenes. They don't really get it. And that's probably the case for some of them. They don't even know the consequences of Obama's actions in the Middle East, that it actually created ISIS, the Islamic Secret Intelligence Service. They don't even know that. They don't even get that. They don't even understand it. They don't even know that, for example, Osama bin Laden was on the payroll sucking the teat of U.S. intelligence for years when we were in Afghanistan fighting the Soviets. We only turned on him when it wasn't convenient anymore, and we wanted to further destabilize and rile this part of the world. Why do you think Obama's bombing Syria? Why do you think he toppled Muammar Gaddafi? Why do you think they've helped institute even more radical jihadism? Why do you think they've kept the borders open? Why do you think people like George Soros are playing with the markets like a ball of yarn as a cat would? You know, I wonder how much money George Soros made yesterday on his derivative trading regarding this event. Is it illegal for him to put things out in a public forum on CNBC or any of these other institutional media outlets talking about a potential Black Friday and consequences and then trading on the other side of it? Isn't that like almost like criminal? Is it criminal? You know, I remember when I was in the securities industry, and I am no longer. Again, I worked for a major Wall Street bank. That's why I'm so educated. That was, what did they call it? Front running? Maybe even call it insider trading. I just read a report last night before going to bed that Merrill Lynch, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, just settled a $500 million lawsuit for commingling cash accounts from customers from 2012 to 2016. They just took money that wasn't theirs and traded on their own accounts. You know what would have happened if those trades went sour and the customers came to the bank and said, hey, we want our money back? It wouldn't have been there. Bank runs! But that can't happen here in the United States, just like a Brexit will never happen, right? According to the mainstream media, according to these pundits. I see it all the time. A lot of these people on CNN, they're like, Joe Blow, who I've never heard of, by the way, is a syndicated radio host. It's like, who freaking turns into radio anymore? Honestly, who turns into CNN? Do you know AMTV is actually moving more traffic some days? Not every day, but this is pretty incredible. Some days we're moving more traffic than CNN. More than Anderson Pooper can conjure up. Why do you think Anderson Pooper and Don Lemon are so sanitized? They're a part of that LGBTQ political correct community. You know, they tell you like they're investigating the truth, but are they really? Are they really just perpetuating not even CNN's, but the people that own CNN's and the mainstream media at large agenda? Reading that teleprompter. There's no teleprompter here. None. All from the gut, all from the heart. It's kind of what I like about Donald Trump, man. The guy never reads a teleprompter. He's actually real. Resonates with the people, the angry peasants. You know, the elites like to throw an occasional breadcrumb. Why do you think they're talking about mandatory required incomes? They've talked about this in places like Switzerland and also the United States of America. Because they got to throw a couple peasants to those dipshit peasants. A couple crumbs. That's why. The agenda is divide and conquer. It is instability. It is social chaos. All things that people like George Soros use to their agenda and fund. This is how they operate. Criminal activity. But they've got to keep some kind of balance there. Otherwise, there's revolution. And if it's not a seminal moment without a shot being fired, thank God, in places like the UK with this vote leave, it can turn bloody. Off with their heads. We saw this with, the French Revolution. We see this with historical moments in history, the Declaration of Independence here in the United States of America, where we kicked the shit out of those redcoats. But guns are outdated. They're archaic. You'll never need them, right? The U.S. government would never use those guns against them, just like they would never censor content. Let's go to that article now. Facebook, Google, other companies being pressured by the U.S. government, well, they really are the U.S. government now, to censor content. Why do you think we're building so aggressively AMTV? Why do you think we have built our own infrastructure and are continuing to build? Why should you subscribe at $4.95 a month, $49.95 a year? It's because we're fighting these monopolies. This is an article I wanted to share with you guys, exclusive. Google, Facebook quietly move toward automatic blocking of extremist videos. Now, of course, this will be under the guise of we're going to get rid of ISIS videos, even though the United States is armed and funded these terrorists on the ground. They call them moderates. Moderate terrorism. I don't know what the difference is between a moderate terrorist cutting your head off with an axe and a extreme terrorist cutting your head off with an axe. But they say here, exclusive, Google, Facebook quietly moved toward automatic blocking of extremist videos. They use that as the guise to block any content they want. You know, content that might potentially disagree with the whore that makes up Hillary Rodham Clinton, or that disagrees with the mainstream media establishment narrative. So that's extremely dangerous. That's what people like George Orwell, that fictionalized great novels like the classic 1984 had predicted. And then all of a sudden this becomes reality. It's why it's so dangerous. It's why we are at a critical, seminal moment ourselves for the media, the most powerful entity on earth. All forms of media, folks, are propaganda. All forms of media are propaganda. Here at AMTV, you get propaganda for the truth, cut through the bullshit with a big, fat knife. Again, this is your house. We're shining the spotlight on these criminals, these banksters, these George Soros, very evil men and women, and we're not afraid of them. Why? Because we have all the power. You have all the power. The people have the strength. Yeah, I pray all the time for this world to make a better place for our children. I think about these things. How do we raise children in today's society and prepare them for this new reality and what's about to come? How do we educate them? How do we better them? How do we, again, this is the future. How are they going to survive in a world where everything is changing? You see this with a shedding of jobs right now. For every new job technology creates, it destroys 1,000. I see this with friends and family right now. And maybe you tuning in have been affected. First of all, I don't want you to get down on yourself if maybe that's happened to you. I want you to fight back. You're in charge of your future, nobody else. You determine the outcome. You always remember that. Never give up. Fight back. Seminal moment in history. Great consequences. War. And I fear, this is my honest to God fear, that these elites have a plan around this. There could be a revote on the referendum, spawned by some kind of tragic event, God forbid, I hope not, an act of terrorism. It could potentially be a worst case scenario, a bomb goes off. Again, but this will be a byproduct of war. That is the reset button. We just saw the button actually pressed, and now the events are unfolding over the next couple days, weeks, and months, and it's something that people just don't get. They don't understand. It's healthy to take a deep breath once in a while. It's healthy to breathe and to relax for a moment, and even to celebrate occasionally. And again, the events that have transpired should be congratulated, should be taken very seriously. It should be a lesson learned. And I think the citizens that have just voted to leave, that have shown Americans how powerful they truly are, because this is happening in our own country. Those Brits got some balls, got some ovaries. You ladies out there tuning in, I know I've got a lot of you that send me your emails, your comments, your questions. The hangover starts Monday. We could see a very black, bloody day. I hope I'm wrong about this. I hope that everything could just be, smooth operation. Wouldn't it be great if markets never crashed and there was just continuous artificial growth into infinity? And it just went a straight shot to the moon. There was never any consequence. Just like the tech crash, in 2001. It was just up, 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 up. Where do you think we are now? You think this is going to last? Why do you think we talk about preparation all the time? Taking matters into your own hand. Living from a libertarian, conservative frame of mind. Educating yourself. hoping for the best, being optimistic, but preparing for a worst case scenario, because this is real. The Brexit's very real. People didn't think that could happen. 2008, 2009, very real. A lot of you felt that to your pocketbooks, your retirement accounts, your lifestyle has changed. Many of you have had to go back to work because these criminals bent you over and stuck it up your freaking ass. And the American people didn't do shit. Nothing. Nor did the people around the globe. They just took it. It's what happens, right? Go work 40, 50 years, get robbed, essentially at digital gunpoint, courtesy of the Federal Reserve and these criminal fiat paper printing into infinity policies and multi-trillion-dollar bank bailouts engineered by the same companies and criminals that just settled a lawsuit a few days ago for $500 million for commingling cash accounts. Something that John Corzine of MF Global did, a major funder of Barack Obama's campaigns, and who just got away with it. Now just sails on a yacht in the freaking Riviera because there's no freaking consequences. All of us taking it up the ass. We have to fight back. We have to get organized. I talked about this in our first Facebook Live video, that not only does it start with information and ideas, the most powerful weapon at our disposal, but this stuff has to be taken into the real world. There has to be high-level organization from those in power and in charge. Just like there was a radical coup of America in 2008 through an engineered crisis, the emergence of the Manchurian candidate that made up Barack Obama. Barack Obama is just the face. He's just the teleprompter reader. It's easy to just get mad at him and have all the anger at him. No, there's people that own him. There's people behind the scenes. It was an organizational coup of the media, banking, political establishment. That's how the country's taken back. In reverse. The people, the masses that have all the power, crises or a crisis hits, it creates a political vacuum, and those with establishment power, whether or not it's banking or politics or media, fill that void and vacuum. It can be an engineered crisis, it could be a legitimate crisis. But that's what it really takes. Organization. We're toppling the mainstream media. We are going for their throats. This is war. We've been at war for over 7 years now. And everybody that's a part of this, and also the great independent media outlets that you know and are very familiar with, are all part of this. We are all a part of this. We are fighting back. We are educating those that are asleep. Thousands more people are awakening daily, not because they're taking my word for it or even your word for it necessarily, but because they're seeing it affect them in their own lives. People understand that. They understand when their standard of living declines. Those that live in Venezuela, for example, understand hyperinflation. How you doing, Facebook subscribers tuning in right now? They understand that. They understand that they've got to barter diapers for food. They get it. People understand being unemployed. They understand the con game that makes up the artificial debt reality that is student loans. They understand when they're looking at $200,000 worth of debt, and even good debt, they're sold at least, they'll say, as good debt because they're going to become an attorney or something like that, and they can only find a job if they're lucky that maybe pays 50 grand. Or they can't find a job at all and they're just staring at this massive debt. Then they begin to start to realize. They understand. They see robots and the algorithm taking over, and transhumanists like Ray Kurzweil with multiple blood transfusions a week, and they all of a sudden understand what is happening. How is it that there's 5 tech monopolies dominating the world right now, and that's somehow okay? Notice there's no major lawsuits going on right now. The government isn't stepping in to break up these companies, which really are kind of the too big to fail tech giants now. Nobody cares because it's a part of the agenda. So is socialism. So is mandatory peasant incomes to throw the breadcrumbs to the masses. This is the agenda, the eradication of the middle class to the super elite people like Bill Gates that make over $30 million a day. I actually underquoted that. I had to look it up again. I said $20 million a day the other day. It's actually $30 million a day. And everybody else down here, even people that thought they were wealthy, maybe you were a paper millionaire, all those people, I'm talking super elites. I'm talking the top 0.01%. You could have $5-10 million and watch it evaporate. And many of you did watch it evaporate in 2008 and 2009. This is what they want. This is what they're achieving. This is why the big hedge fund managers are buying multi-million-dollar properties in places like New Zealand, which work as their bunkers. It's why even celebrities have safe houses in their multi-million-dollar apartments in places like New York City, because they are smart enough to understand at some point this boiling pot of water is going to explode and somebody's going to get burned. Just like David Cameron, and it was kind of a witty, just kind of instinctual response that I had yesterday, or the day prior actually, before the vote, before Friday, it was Thursday. I said, you know what, I have a gut instinct David Cameron is finished. The next day, he resigned, or pre the vote, he resigned. And I talked about that. And then that happens, and it becomes real. This is good because it's a boon to Donald Trump. It actually discredits Hillary Rodham Clinton. That's a good thing. But the overwhelming theme, and I think hardcore reality, is that there is and there will be consequences to this that people that are just celebrating in the streets right now can't see. And I want you to be aware of, and I want you to get this video out everywhere, and I want you to share it with your friends and family. But I also want you to take it out into the real world. Just have a discussion. Speak intelligently. Present facts. Again, you've got to ease people into understanding a new reality. When you've been brainwashed your entire life from the time that you were born into this beautiful world, planet experience that we're engaged in, and you've got commercials going on in the background because you got that TV going, and that's being impregnated into your mind, Coca-Cola, Starbucks, Microsoft, goes on and on. You don't realize how programmed to brainwash you are, how you're just a part of that mindless pre-programming. These tech companies are dangerous. Our politicians in power now, dangerous. This environment, dangerous. And the reset button, we've been talking about this for years, has been pressed. Are you prepared? Are you educated? Are you sharing this message with the people that you love? I'd like to end today on a hopeful note because I truly am an optimist and I truly believe in the power of the people and a singular mindset and an elevation, an expansion of consciousness, because I really do believe people are waking up, because I've seen it with our platform. From nothing to hundreds of people to thousands to millions because of you. You know, it's kind of like the movie I was talking about with our amazing video editors operating the cameras right now, and has given me a grin, a movie called, what was it, Field of Dreams? Build it, and they will come. Build it, and they will come. Have faith, people. You might wonder what I got here on my armband. I donate to the Phoenix Children's Hospital, something close to my heart. It says faith on it. You can't always see the end of the tunnel. You can't always see the outcome, how things are going to work out. You have to have faith. It's hard for some people to have faith at times. It's hard for people to just let it all hang out, to believe. You have the power to change everything. We have the power to confront what is wrong with the world today. What is wrong in Europe, in America, this radical globalism, which hasn't stopped. They weren't defeated. I'm sorry, but you're a freaking idiot if you think they were defeated on Friday. You're dumb. We have the power. You have the power to change everything. Screw their reset button. Press your own reset button. Help us build a better future. Change the world. The power of education, the power of ideas. I've talked about this many times. Perception is your reality. You get what you think about, what you believe. But most importantly, have faith in the bigger picture. See the forest through the trees and never give up. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. I'm Christopher Green. This is AMTV Live. Thank you for your tremendous support. Hard-hitting and in your face. We are going to war.